Happy New Year. I mean, we might as well be the first ones, huh? Don't you think, to say that? What a great privilege it is for me to share with you today. I'm very excited, and we're going to talk about you having your best year ever in 2019. Now, as we close out this year, there are literally on all of our campuses, I'm sure, thousands of people would raise their hand and say, this was my greatest year. It was a banner year. And I'll bet there'd also be thousands of people raise their hand and say, I am so glad this year is about over. You know, sometimes our favorite verse is, this too shall pass. And so how many of you are ready for a new year, huh? You ready for a new year? Okay. And here's, well, okay, let me ask you this. How many of you are ready, not only for a new year, but how many of you are ready for the best year? Come on, huh? Best year you've ever had. I mean, we're ready for it. And what I'm excited about is I'm going to share with you in today's lesson, I'm going to share with you how to have your best year. In fact, I'll guarantee it, if you'll just do what I'm about to share, it's just going to set you up for an incredible 2019. Now, so the good news is, what I'm going to share is simple, it's reachable. Every one of you can achieve this, okay? Every one of you. So this isn't beyond anybody. That's the good news. The bad news is that it's so simple that you're going to almost think it really can't make that kind of a difference. But what I've learned a long time ago is that some of the most beautiful things in life are just simple things that if we do, it just tweaks us and makes us live an incredible, better life. And so I'm very excited about sharing with you. So are you ready to, I know you're ready. I know you're ready. You're ready to write this down. I'm going to give you the secret of having a great year. I know you're ready, but I'm a little concerned about the person on your left. They don't seem to be quite as sharp as you. You've noticed that also, haven't you? You've really noticed that. So I know you're ready, but are they ready? That's the question, huh? So look at your neighbor and say, are you ready? Go ahead and ask that. Here we go. If you want 2019 to be the year that you really want to be, here's the secret of making it a great year. Every day, serve someone. Every day. Every day add value to people. Every day serve one. Every day live the intentional life of doing for others, sometimes what they cannot do for themselves. And if you will put people first and add value to them and serve them, it becomes absolutely amazing what you and I are going to have and achieve, how we're going to help people, and in return, how it comes back to us. Benjamin Franklin said this: no one is useless in this world who lightens the burden of someone else. If you're helping someone else lift a load in your life, you become a very useful person. Mahatma Gandhi said that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. But perhaps on this kind of a theme, my favorite quote is from Albert Schweitzer, who said, I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I do know. The only ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. Boy, he's right on. The happiest people are not always the most successful people, but they're the ones who serve the best. I've met a lot of unhappy, successful people, haven't you? But I've never met an unhappy person that gave their life of serving and giving and adding value to other people. Martin Luther King Jr. said, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. Only one time in the Gospels is it recorded that Jesus said, follow me and follow my example. Only one time. And that's when he was washing the feet, serving the disciples. And I just want to talk to you today about how you and I can just intentionally begin to do this, okay? In my younger years of forming myself as a young leader, I kind of thought that what leaders did was get everybody to join their team and, cast the vision. And so that's what I was doing. And then in about 27, I heard Zig Ziglar say, who became a great friend of mine. Zig said, if you will help people get what they want, then you'll receive everything that you need in life. And when I heard that, I thought, I've got this turned around. I need to focus on people. I need to put others first. And if I help them, then all the stuff that I'm going to need, I'm going to get as a return. And about the same time, I read a book by Eugene Habacher called The Other Side of Leadership. He became also a wonderful friend of mine. And Eugene said in his book, the true leader serves people and their best interests. True leaders are motivated by loving concern rather than personal glory. So if Jesus were here, and we would say to him, what's important, what he would say to us is, he would say, valuing people is important. And not only valuing people, but serving people. And he would just say to all of us, if you want to have a great 2019, value people, serve people. So we're going to look at a couple biblical examples here and kind of really get some good understanding under our belt about what does it mean to really intentionally serve people. The first story is where Jesus is going into the upper room, and the disciples are all arguing about who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom. And not only who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom, but who's going to sit the closest to Jesus. And so they're back and forth, and they're talking, and basically, as Jesus listens, he realizes that what they've got is what he call horizontal thinking. They're thinking about, am I better than you, and where would I position? And he wanted to get them on vertical thinking, so he started talking to them, and the passage is on Luke 22, it's on your screen. Within minutes, they were bickering over who of them would end up the greatest, but Jesus intervened. Kings like to throw their weight around, and people in authority like to give themselves fancy titles. And then this is the key, here's the key phrase. It's not going to be that way with you. Let the senior among you become like the junior. Let the leader act the part of the servant. Now, who would you rather be? The one who eats the dinner or the one who serves the dinner? You'd rather eat and be served, right? Here he goes. But I've taken my place among you as one who serves. It's amazing, isn't it? Jesus, Son of God, has taken his place among us as one who serves. When you biblically begin to understand serving people, there are three things that you kind of understand and come to grips with. Number one is that a servant puts, first of all, service over status. Philippians chapter 2. Don't push your way to the front. Don't sweet talk your way to the top. Put yourself aside and help others get ahead. Don't be obsessed with getting your own advantage. And here's the key phrase. Forget yourselves long enough to lend a helping hand. You know what he's basically saying is, if you're going to really serve people, you got to forget yourself. Now, I know a lot of people, they're the exact opposite. They're full of themselves. You know people like that, huh? How many of you are sitting beside somebody just like that? Don't. And when you're full of yourself, when I'm full of myself, it's all I can think about is me. And the moment that it gets there, it's all of a sudden everything's going to be centered about who I am, where I am, what's happening to me. And we all have to fight that because we all are basically selfish. We're born selfish. And the illustration, I've used it here before. If you don't think you're selfish, just let me ask you a simple question. When somebody takes a group picture of you, and you see that picture for the first time, who is the first person? Huh? Who do you look for? I mean, first person. You go right to yourself, don't you? I mean, my gosh, you pass those other 7 people, you go, there I am. And let me tell you what, if you look good, you go, great picture. Great. You've judged the whole picture on how you looked. You haven't even looked at the right. Oh, great. And if you don't look good, come on, do it again. Take another picture. Everything is based upon, did I look good or didn't I look good? So this is who we are. One of the reasons why living an intentional life is so important is if we are not intentional, we will be selfish. You know, we got to work at this. If 2019 is going to be an incredible year, you're going to have to look at the year and say to yourself, what can I do to add value to people instead of what are people going to do to add value to me? What can I do to serve people instead of, I wonder who in this next year is going to serve me? We're going to have to do a complete mind shift in that whole process. Service over status. But a servant, secondly, puts character over comfort. In other words, they do the right thing whether they feel like doing it or not. You know, there are two kinds of people. There are the people that do what is right and then feel good, and there are some people who want to feel good before they do what is right. And if you want to feel good before you ever do what is right, you and I will not do a lot of things right because we'll let our emotions control it. But the moment that we say, no, I'm going to do the right thing, and then I'll let the emotion follow. Character over comfort. A couple of weeks ago, right after Thanksgiving, I was teaching on the Good Samaritan, the message on perspectives about possessions. And as we know the story of the Good Samaritan, the man was robbed. He was on the side of the road. He was half dead. The Good Samaritan went over and took care of him, took care of his wounds, put him on his donkey, took him to a place to recover and paid for it, and took care. And the whole thing that is huge is that the Good Samaritan was willing to be inconvenienced. Now here's the key. If you and I are going to make 2019 a great year of serving people, let me tell you the first thing that's going to happen to you, the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to be inconvenienced. Because when you have to serve people, they don't do it on your time schedule. Mm-hmm. Now, in the Good Samaritan story, the priest and the Levite, what'd they do? They saw the guy that was robbed, half dead, and they saw him, and they went to the other side of the road, and they walked by, didn't they? They not only walked by, and they walked by as far as they could get from him. And you know why? Do you know why they didn't stop? They didn't want to be inconvenienced. They were going somewhere. They're going down to Jericho. And now let me tell you what. Because they were good religious people, here's what I'm sure they did. I'm sure they prayed for him. Yeah. I bet. Don't you think so? I think as they went on their own way, not taking care of him at all, they said, "Oh my God, oh Lord, help him, heal him, help him. Send somebody to serve him. Oh Lord." Isn't it amazing? Christians can make prayer the biggest cop-out. Sometimes we need to kind of shut up and serve. Just shut up and serve. Character over comfort. And if this is going to be a year where you serve, I promise myself, we will be at times inconvenienced. We just will. And Jesus, he said, look, let me explain it this way. If you want to save your life, what do you have to do? You have to lose it. Yeah. And if you want to be lifted up, you have to humble yourself. And if you want to be the greatest, you got to be the servant. If you want to be first, you got to be last. If you want to live, you got to die. And I look at that and I said, well, I want to save my life. I want to be lifted up. I got all these things I want. And he says, well, you got to go to the other side. Another thing that servant leaders do is they put we over me. They think of the big picture. And they think of others, not so much of themselves. Okay, in John chapter 13, this is, okay, we got to camp here for a few moments. It's on the screen. Jesus knew that the Father had put him in complete charge of everything, and he came from God, and he was on his way back to God. So he got up from the supper table, set aside his robe, put on an apron, and then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the feet of the disciples, drying them with his apron. Now, we know this story. This is a story of Jesus washing the disciples' feet. Well, first thing that pops out to me is it's amazing. In the most difficult hour of Jesus' life, this is a crucial time. Literally, in just a few hours from this situation, he's going to be in Gethsemane. He's going to find out that he has to go to the cross. And he's going to have the Romans come and take him. He's going to go into mockery of a trial. He's going to be beat. I mean, he's coming into his most difficult period that he came on earth. And in his most difficult time, what is he doing? He is serving other people. Well, this is huge. And he takes a basin of water and he washes their feet. Now, interestingly enough, in the Gospels, there's only 2 times that a basin of water is ever mentioned, and it happens to be just connected, these 2 stories right here. Pilate, remember when the people brought Jesus before Pilate and were wanting him to sentence him to crucifixion? And the press kept they kept pressuring him. And finally, remember what he finally said? Okay, look, he said, I think he's innocent. I don't say anything wrong with him. But if you want to do this, then he said, bring a basin of water. And he took his hands in that basin of water and he washed his hands and excused himself of the responsibility of what he was about to do. Now catch me. I call this basin theology. Pilate took a basin of water and put himself first. Jesus took a basin of water and washed feet and put others first. That's the difference between how a Christ follower thinks and how a person who lives for self thinks. It's an entirely different world. And think about this. You talk about a great test as a servant leader. He's washing the disciples' feet, and as he's doing it, being God, knowing all things, he's washing the feet of one who will betray him, one who will deny him, who will lie about him and will curse about him. And every one of the people's feet that he will wash in his deepest, darkest hour will forsake him and run. And what's he doing? He's serving. He's washing their feet. Every year in November, we have this event called Exchange for Leaders. We go to a different city. It's an amazing event, and we give them leadership experiences. And so in November, I had them in Los Angeles. And one of the places I wanted to take them, I really wanted to open their eyes and really get them to see a pretty amazing story. So I took them to the Dream Center out in Los Angeles that is led by a longtime friend of mine, Matthew Barnett. And here's the story. This is a great story. Matthew Barnett decided to go to Los Angeles and care for the poor and give his life in the worst area of Los Angeles. A lot of drugs, a lot of poverty, a lot of crime. And he had no money, and yet he wanted to start his ministry there. So here's what he did. He literally on the sidewalk, on a busy sidewalk in this poor area of Los Angeles, he put a desk and a chair. He didn't have an office. He didn't have a building. And people would come by and they'd say, what are you doing? He said, well, this is my office. And I'm here to care for people and meet needs. Do you have something I can help you with? And people began to come around and gather around and make the long story short. Now, this was several years ago, 20 years ago probably. Now, today, if you're in Los Angeles, the hospital in Los Angeles, you can see on the hill that City of Angels Hospital, now that's the Dream Center. And hundreds of drug addicts are taken care of and met. And he's done this incredible ministry. So I had all these leaders there to stretch their mind and stretch their heart a little bit. And so I had Matthew talk for a moment. And here's what he said. He talked about the fact that they were a bridge between people that were poor and had lost their whole dignity and value, basically. And they were the bridge to help them get back their dignity and value and their health and all these things. And then he said something very interesting about a bridge. He said, if we are to be a bridge for others to cross over into a better life, we will get walked on. I'm just letting you think about that for a moment. We'll get walked on. Okay. There's another passage of scripture I want you to look at because we're learning how to serve so we can do 2019 better. Because I want you to see this passage because when we serve others, here's what's beautiful. We serve Jesus. So you know the passage. Here we go on the screen. I was hungry, you fed me. Jesus is talking, by the way. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was homeless, you gave me a room. I was shivering, you gave me clothes. I was sick, you stopped to visit. I was in prison, and you came to me. Now notice the response of the people there. The sheep, here's what they're going to say. Master, what are you talking about? Now, these are the people he's just talked about. He said, I was sick, you visited me. I was naked, you clothed me. And so he said, you did this to me. And he said, Master, what are you talking about? When did we ever see you hungry and feed you? Thirsty and give you a drink? And when did we ever see you sick or in prison and come to you? Then the king will say, I'm telling you a solemn truth. Whenever you did one of these things to someone overlooked or ignored, that was me. You did it to me. Jesus values people so much that when we serve them, he takes it personally. Yeah. I run into people all the time. They'll say, John, I just don't feel close to God. I just haven't connected with God for a while. And they'll look at me and say, what do you think I should do? Oh, I said, that's so simple. My gosh, you gave me an easy one. Hey, just go serve people. Just go serve people. Because you see, every time you serve a person, you serve Jesus. You want to get close to him? You can feed him. You can clothe him. Come on. This is amazing. And what's incredible about the story is when Jesus is telling them this, they're looking at him and saying, when did we feed you? When did we clothe you? You see, they were doing some wonderful things, but you see, they saw the hurting people, but they didn't see Jesus. This is huge. So every day when I serve people, if I come up and hug somebody and just give them an encouraging word, I walk away and I say, wow, just hug Jesus. Yeah. So you say, well, I haven't been close to Jesus for a while. Go start hugging some people. I got 42 hugs with Jesus today. See, you're still trying to pray. My name's John. I'm your friend. One of the books that I revised about a year ago was Developing the Leader Within You 2.0. And one of the things I love about my writing anymore is I've written to the business and secular audience so long, and they know me now so well that I can get by with a lot of stuff. It's just beautiful. I can just be salt and light. And it's just, I'm trying to be respectful and value everybody, but I just am slipping in all the time. Just the other day, I was doing a Q&A with a secular business company, and then they mentioned, they said, well, now, you're a person of faith. And how does that affect your leadership? Oh, I said, it's everything. I said, do you know everything I've learned about leadership is from the Bible? And they're all looking at me. You're kidding. Oh, I said, I'll tell you something that'll surprise you more. They said, what's that? I said, everything you know about leadership is from the Bible too. Yeah. It is. Oh, this is so huge. I said, you're good people. You just don't have a clue. But you're good people. You're good people. I said, let me explain it to you. I said, any of you in the audience, give me any leadership principle that you just really love, that you just have bought into, that you practice. Just give me the leadership principle, and I'll tell you exactly where you can find that in the Bible. And they started giving me this. And I said, oh, yes, that reminds me of the story here and there. And then after a while, they just kind of they got real quiet. Now, this is incredible. I'm talking about connecting with people. So in Developing the Leader 2.0, one of the chapters I have in it is on serving people. And so I'm going to give you these 5 things that I really work on in serving. Number 1 is I don't rely on my position or title. Okay? I don't rely on it. Jesus said, you don't want to rely on those things. In fact, when I'm speaking in a convention many times in the green room, they'll come in with my bio and they'll say, now this is what we're going to introduce you with and the whole deal. And I'll say, do you really have to do that? I say, so well, how do you want us to introduce you? I said, well, just tell them my name's John. I'm their friend. I'll come out on the stage and I'll talk to them. You see, I learned a long time ago, if you're good, you don't need an introduction. And you can't tell you something, if you're bad, a great introduction won't help you. I've listened to some speakers and I've just thought, well, could we go back to the introduction? It was better. It was just better. And the second thing I've done is I choose to believe in people. And I choose to not only believe in people, I choose to believe in their potential. It was my father who gave me the great advice. Believe in people, value people, unconditionally love people. If you'll just do those three things, John, he said, you'll have an incredible ministry. So when I go to these conventions, they always walk me in the back way. And, the crowd's out there, and they're walking me in the back way, taking me the green way. So in every convention in America, I walk through the kitchens most of the time. So, it's just, you just show me a kitchen of a convention center, and I can tell you where it is. I'm just really major on kitchens. And they're walking me through the kitchen, and they're trying to rush me through, and the people are there, and I just love to mess them up, and I walk real slow. And I'm not real slow. I introduce myself to them and ask them what they do, what they serve, or and sometimes I'll pull my camera out and say, let's take a picture. Can I have a picture of you? And they're just loving it. They're loving it, and the people they're just not loving it at all. And I just love messing with them. You know what I'm doing? I'm valuing people. I'm just trying to be Jesus-like. Just trying to value people. I try to see things, number 3, I try to see things from the perspective of others. And number 4, I create an environment of encouragement. I try to create an environment of encouragement. It was my father who said, John, encouragement is the oxygen of the soul. Such a great man, such a great encourager. In fact, I was just with him a few days ago, and he's 97 now. And in fact, I got a picture of him. Want to see a picture of my dad? Here's Dad, right there. There's Dad. Look at him. Doesn't he look good? 97. Doesn't he look great? I got good genes. There's hope for me, baby. I'm telling you. Hey, 20 years from now, I'm going to still be here teaching away at Christ Fellowship. You know what I mean? Just having a big time. And Dad, so I was talking to Dad. We were taking him out to lunch. And I said, Dad, as long as I live, you're going to live. I mean, you may die, but you'll still live. Because I love people like you love people. And I want to add value to people, and I want to serve people like you. And so I'm talking to him about all the things I'm doing. And I said, just remember this, Dad. You're 97, but as long as I live, you're going to live because we're going to serve people. And my dad just listened to all that. And when I get that, he just raises both hands and says, hallelujah, hallelujah. And he's had 2 strokes, and he's broken 6 ribs. And he just keeps coming back. I mean, I keep thinking, okay. And it just keeps coming back. I just think, okay, we'll plan the service, and just pops back up. In fact, I nicknamed him now. He loves this day. I call him now Daddy Lazarus. Isn't that great? I just call him Daddy Lazarus. I said, we just put you away for dead, and you come back up, and you just keep coming back. You just keep coming. You just keep coming back, huh? And the 5th thing is, I measure my success on how much value I add to other people. Wow. So let me tell you. Let me wrap it up with a story here. I was in my 2nd church, and I was really wanting to grow it, and it was really growing, and I was spending a lot of time with leaders, building leaders, training leaders, helping them help minister to others, equipping the saints to do the work of the ministry. That's what I was really doing. And it was really going well. And so I was very busy. I spent an incredible amount of time working with leaders, teaching them how to lead people, train people. So here we go. And one day on my schedule, I noticed that a person was coming to my office, and I didn't know who they were, but I knew they weren't on my leader list. So I asked my assistant, I said, it was a fellow by the name of Brent Johnson. I said, who's Brent Johnson? And she said, Pastor, he's not a leader, but she said, he really wants to see you for a few moments. And so I said he could see you, and I wasn't, be honest with you, I wasn't really happy because I thought, okay, I'm trying to train leaders, and here comes this guy I don't even know who he is. So he comes into the office, and I wish I could act like I was saintly, but I wasn't saintly. Okay, I'm just not that good enough. My dad's a saint. When he goes to heaven, he'll be right beside Jesus. When I go to heaven, I'll be in some outlet with a satellite somewhere. You know what I mean? Okay. And so he came in. He came in, and so I looked at him and I said, "Okay, how can I help you?" And he looked at me and said, I didn't come to ask for help. Okay. What do you need? He said, nothing. Okay. Why are you here? And he said, I'm here because I'd like to serve you. He said, I'm not a leader. I don't have leadership gifts. And I've been for the last 2 months. He said, I love what's happening in our church. And for the last 2 months, I've been asking God how I can serve you, what I can do for you that'll help you lift the load. And he said, I have this idea now. And he said, I'd like to throw it by you if you can. I said, well, sure, what is it? He said, you have to do errands. You're busy and have things. I said, yeah. He said, okay. He said, I would like to come in at Thursday noon every week, and I would like to do all of your errands for you so you don't have to spend your time doing that. He said, I'll do your dry cleaning. I'll go wash your car. He said, just make the list. He said, of all the money. And he said, that way you can spend more time with leaders. He said, would you let me serve you? And by this time I'm crying, and I'm saying, well, yeah. But before you serve me, would you just pray for me to get saved again? Woe is me, I'm very unclean. Right? Are you with me? Huh? Would you just pray for me to, and for 7 years, every Thursday, he'd come and do errands for me. It changed my life about adding value to people and serving people, because sometimes when people say, well, I don't know if I could do that. I don't even know if I have those kind of, listen to me. The moment that we really have a desire to add value to other people, our whole life will begin to change. And so if 2019 is going to be the year that we really want to make it, I'm going to share with you right now 5 things I do every day. And I want you to do them every day in this year. And I will promise you, your life is about to incredibly change. And all 5 of these things I'm going to give you right now, you can do them. These aren't hard. These aren't complicated. So look at your neighbor you're sitting beside and say to them, even you can do this, okay? Tell me, even you can do this, okay? All right, here we go. Every day, number one, every day I value people. And that's the foundation of everything we're talking about. If I don't value people, I'll never add value to them. I'll manipulate them. I'll do all kind of bad things. But it all begins with valuing people. Does that make sense to you? So every day I value people. By the way, that's Jesus-like. That's what Jesus, when people say they want to be Christ-like, just value people. Every day I value people. Number 2, every day I think of ways to add value to people. In other words, I'll look at my schedule in the morning, and I'll say where I'm going to go, who I'm going to see perhaps, and I'll say, okay, what can I do to add value to those people? I think of ways to add value to people. Number 3, every day I look for ways to add value to people. So that when I'm with you, I'm looking for something. What can I do for right now? What can I do for them that would add value to them? So every day I value people. Think of ways to add value to people. Look for ways to add value to people. Number 4, every day I do things that values people. Every day. In fact, at the end of the day, the last thing I do every evening is I do a 10-minute inventory of my day. And one of the questions I ask is, who did I add value to today? Who did I serve today? Okay? Every day. Every day. I value people. Think of ways to add value to people. Look for ways to add value to people. Do things that add value to people. And number 5, I encourage others to add value to people. I do those 5 things every day. And I'm just telling you, if you'll just do those 5 things every day in 2019, and every one of you can do that. If you'll just do those 5 things every day, 2019 will be unbelievable to you. So you got them written down, don't you? And on all the campuses, you've got it written down, because I'm going to have you all stand here and all the campuses. I'm going to have you stand. And while you're standing, pastors, you can come up to the front, because when we're done with this little 1-minute exercise, it's yours. But let's all stand right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to repeat those 5 things. Okay? We're going to repeat those 5 things that we're going to do. Okay? Are you ready? Huh? And now I'm going to find out who took notes. See, okay, are you ready? Okay. Every day I value people. Every day I think of ways to add value to people. Every day I look for ways to add value to people. Every day I do things that add value to people. And every day I encourage others to add value to people. And if you'll do that, 2019 will be your greatest year. I promise.